I ask people, look through a window and tell me what you see. And they describe the world outside. You know, no one looks at the window. But for us, that excites us, to know that someone's gonna look through this and care that this has been engineered in a way that provides comfort and aesthetically pleasing.
Mark was my wonderful husband of 37 years. We were both university students together at Brigham Young University, and he was a gorgeous, blonde, blue-eyed young man, and I was head over heels the minute I saw him.
Mark had a presence. I believe he stood out in the crowd.
The reason Mark did very well from the word get-go is he was very personable.
If it was a 15-minute, get some gas or meet somebody, it turned into like 45 minutes. Like, my dad had this natural talent to get to know people.
Mark was always a visionary. He was always pushing the boundaries, and when we brought things that were new and interesting, you could see the sparkle in his eye.
Most people's careers are not a straight line, and that was definitely the case for Mark.
There was just kind of this ever-present, like, well, where are we gonna end up? Like, we weren't settled. And there was 4 kids. And so in a little bit of, a determination to use his engineering license, but also desperation to take care of his family, he used his engineering licenses and started working in the glazing industry as a glass engineer.
It was scary. We couldn't afford an office. And really, we didn't even know if this was gonna go. So he started by having a phone line in our den. And you can imagine the house was rambunctious and noisy, and when the phone would ring, I would hurriedly quiet all the children so he could answer it sounding somewhat professionally. And it was just phenomenal to think that from those humble beginnings, he built a very successful business.
From my view, they are the most in tune with what the market is looking for from a glazing perspective.
At the end of the day, it was known that, you go to Layton as that last door because they're the ones that are willing to explore and have those discussions.
My dad, he was ingenious. He wanted to find a way to make it work. I mean, that was one of the key fundamental things that brought our company forward, that helped grow our company. But the last one was like the secret sauce, and that was he believed in the integral relationships that you have with people.
If you were the janitor at the office or president of a multinational corporation, he treated everybody the same.
He was a very, very friendly person. Like, it taught me how to deal with clients and how he approached clients, having a very open mind and very friendly approach to the whole situation.
If he could spend his whole day just calling up people saying, hey, how you doing? Let's go for lunch, let's go for a walk, he would do that. And work, honestly, was just a vessel for him to be able to do that while also supporting his family, right?
My husband was going to be turning 60, so we went on a river cruise, and we were in Germany, and he got ill, and I insisted that he get off, that we go get him checked and come home, and took him to the hospital, and they said, no, he's not well enough to travel, but don't worry, we'll see that he gets better. So he had all kinds of antibiotics and whatever, but on the day that he was supposed to be getting better, unfortunately, surprisingly, and we were all shocked, but he had a pulmonary embolism, and that was the end of his mortal life.
Within a matter of days, went from, hey Dad, we'll see you on the next flight, to hey Dad, don't worry about it, get the surgery, to my mom calling me, letting me know my dad passed away. And I remember when my mom called me at a split second, all I wanted to say was, what are we gonna do? We've lost, and I'd been working for the company, so we lost the president of the company, we lost a ton of licenses. He had all the licenses for the US, several provinces, the most senior engineer, and in reality I lost my best friend. But in that split second I made a decision. I said, Mom, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it work. I had no idea how, but I knew my dad would say something like that.
It was tough to, be able to believe that was actually happened. But we certainly came to know that it did happen. And then the next transitional state was, what was going to happen in Layton Consulting.
At that time, I was basically the only one that has a license left because Mark passed, and I kind of took on the responsibility to actually take on all the jobs that Mark had left us, and then just basically took it project by project and make sure that we continue that legacy.
Mark essentially was the company, right? And so once that's gone, how do you fill that void? How do you replace that? How do you get things back on the ground so that things are successfully and running down the rails? And so I knew that I could help, and it just happened that at the time the expectations that I had from my previous position weren't panning out for me. And so it was actually a good time for a change for me.
We started getting some traction in the early part of that year, and then my wife was called in for just a standard checkup, and then they found a lump on her breast, and then my wife's diagnosed with pretty severe breast cancer. So within a matter of four months, I was pretty much brought, as to my knees and as crumbled as I possibly could. But that same split-second thought came in my mind, and so I was going to fight back too. And I saw my dad do it as a kid to get those one job at a time, and so we were going to do it.
I just want to see this through. I was there for 6-7 years already. At that time, I just want to make sure that, hey, you know what, I have not looked for a second job ever since I started here, and that kind of enabled me to enable other people to be able to keep growing the way that Mark got me to grow.
The environment and the culture that we've developed here in Layton Consulting really is a reflection of the legacy that Mark left. Not just his legacy, but of who he was personally.
Mark's legacy is not only within Jonathan's, but even the engineers that are here. They all understood how Mark did business, and they continue to follow in his footsteps, where they always try and take care of the clients.
Anytime any one of us feeling down or feeling overwhelmed or feeling like I can't believe we're facing with all these challenges, another person was like, hey, I can carry it, I'll get through this. And then together as a team, we built each other up. And our customer base wanted to join us because they saw that we could survive and then we could thrive. And now suddenly you start introducing more people who are like, man, I want to be part of this team. And so it becomes less about just being another company. And you start to stand for something. We're not going silent in the night. We're going to make an impact.
To me, it's an inspiration to have seen that challenge and that dark period go by them, and having them come on top on the other end, and having this firm expanded now in a few different ways.
We're all trying to do something to make this not only work, but flourish. And I feel really fortunate. We all feel really fortunate that we have each other, because we really do complement each other.
We have FIFA Stadium in another country. We are starting to do some work in Asia. We want to be able to do on these kind of bigger projects in other major cities of the world, and being the glass expert of the world. That will be one of the greatest achievements that we can kind of do for Mark.
We want to face every challenge. We want to be yes engineers. When there is a question on, hey, can we do this? We may not be able to say, yeah, right at that moment, oh yeah, this is how you do it, but it's like, let's find out. You come on the journey with us. Trust us and we'll find a way. I just feel like we're at the beginning of amazing things.